one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle.
Welcome, everybody. I was really holding out for a good spot to try to fade out some of the music. I like the songs. I like the holiday songs. But yeah, welcome everybody to our special webinar of 'Tis the Season for Goals. Goals. Doesn't this give you like the hype of goal season? I like this one, but I also really enjoy just having this nice snow falling feeling about goals because we are at the end of the year, holidays are around us, and this just makes me feel a little bit better. I am your host today, Jackie. I am a senior product manager at Integral. I've been in the digital space for over a decade now. Worked on a lot of different brands. So if you name it, there's probably a little section or thing that I've had a hand in over the years. And I've worked with a lot of different teams too. So if you're a software engineer, designers, copy, research, just always in cross-functional teams, leadership across the board. I don't know which role is actually falling back here, but somebody is, and I'm here to help you out. But what you really need to know about me in this session, and you're going to see this a couple times, is that I have 2 corgis and I love my dogs. But really, I love being curious, creative, and solving problems, and I really enjoy achieving goals. So 'Tis the Seasons for Goals is right up my alley for something that I really want to talk about with all of you today. So some of you I might know, some of you I might not know. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. As our time is spent together today, big shout out to Joe, who you're going to see in the chat as Integral. He's keeping an eye on the chat if you've got any questions. So my face isn't really turned towards the chat right now, so he might call out when there's a question in there. Feel free to ask stuff along the way if you'd like to. I have made sure that there's some time at the end. If there's any topics you want to go back to, we can absolutely do that. But yeah, just glad that everybody's here and we get to talk about this goal season. So we're going to have some fun, a little holiday fun, because I love the holidays too. First off, we're going to go on a little holiday journey together. Then we're going to do a quick refresher on some goal frameworks because we're talking about goals. I'm not going to teach you some frameworks. We're just going to do a refresher. So hopefully you've got a couple in your mind that you're used to. From there, we're going to talk about how you can really love the goal season. This is a stressful time of year sometimes for people. So we're going to go through a couple of tips and tricks, methods, things that you can use with your product development teams, however you label yourselves, a group of people who can learn how to love their goals. And then before you go, I would feel horrible if I didn't give you some gifts because I love giving gifts as well. First gift, we made a snowman. Isn't that awesome? So all right, you know a little bit about me. Again, referencing the dogs. But I also want to know who's here and know a little bit about you. So Joe's going to put a link in the chat to the system that we're using for all of our polls and questions today. So if you don't have a QR code or your phone handy, don't worry about that. We got you. But I would like to know who's here. So I'm going to pause for a moment so you can get yourself into this session. Like I said, you can go to the website or you can just use the QR code to hop in and answer this question.
Sorry, Jackie, can you send me the link that I'm posting right now? Because I'm not sure which one it is.
If it's just the menti.com. And I can put it in here.
Okay, let me see if I have it. Thank you.
Awesome. We're getting some responses in. hopefully you took a moment and you saw the last one on the columns there, which is friends and family. Jackie made me join this session. They didn't want Cole for their gifts this year, and I asked them to come. So, but awesome. We are seeing a couple of different roles. So we got some product managers, engineers, some leadership roles here. Awesome. Happy to have you. Hopefully you walk away with more than just the normal gifts I give you at the end of the session, but you'll learn a little bit along the way. All right, let's keep going then. We're going to go on a holiday journey, right? We're going to take a moment and think about where we're at. So it's December 12th. December 12th. Everybody got that? Like Mr. Bean here in the video is pointing to, it's almost like the end of the year. Did anyone just get a little bit nervous because I reminded you of the date, right? The end of the year is a big deal for goals because not only are you trying to wrap up your entire year, you know that you want to go into January like, we've got it all, we know what we're doing, this is going to be amazing, right? Which is exciting, but also a little bit stressful. So not only is timing a thing, right? December 12th, again, keep that in your mind. You've got your work. So some of you are working 40 hours, some of you are working 80 hours, depends on your role, depends on what your company is doing. You might have a commute that comes with your work. You might be also having to write a bunch of team member reviews at this time of year too. There's a lot going on at work already. Now, we're all humans, so don't forget this part. You have life. You have partners, you have kids, you have pets, you have your own feelings. And like I said, I love December, but it can be a bit overwhelming. And you've got all of this going on. But now we're going to add on top of it something else. We need you to make headspace for goals. And it's not just a little bit of headspace, it's a lot of headspace that you need for goals to be really, really, really amazing. So goals also are what you're setting up your team for, right? What you're going to accomplish. Maybe something that you might even be evaluated on. It's a big deal. So if you're adding up all three of these things, right? We already said 40 hours or more of work. You have a life. And then we want to make sure that these goals are amazing. You're wrapping them up. You have to be ready for next year. And it's December 12th. This is a lot of things. So you might be feeling a little bit like this. It's a little wild, a little disorderly, a little chaotic, right? It's a lot to fit in, and it's December 12th. So with that, to know how everybody is feeling right now. So I got a couple options for you after taking you through that initial holiday journey. I'm going to do this and put more Christmas lights on my house. Those are the people that are like, I'm down, goals are my thing, I know what I'm doing. Some of you might just be like, yeah, bring it on, goals, I'm used to this. Some of you might be like, I'm stressed, Jackie, that's a lot. Life is a lot, work is a lot. Or some of you might be like, nope, I'm just gonna go ahead and shut this down, find me that like dark cave that I can just go and hide in. Hopefully someone else figures this out for me. A little bit of dark cave. I gotcha. I understand. And stressed. Yeah. Yeah. We've got some good, some not so good, but that's okay. Hopefully that's why you're here, so that you can learn some stuff to help de-stress. Couple more are still coming in. Whoever that one person is that's like, yeah, I got this, and Christmas lights, we need to talk, because I have some Christmas lights strategies I'd love to talk about with more people. All right, so with that, feel free to keep filling that out because this will be fun for me to look at later as well. So I have some methods basically that we're going to talk about to de-risk your goals and de-stress yourself a bit. And it doesn't really matter which goal framework or methodology you use, but I want to get us into the right mindset. So we're going to talk a little bit about goal frameworks first. And to do that, I also want to see where your headspace is at, as when I show an icon like this, what are you thinking? We'll flip to the next one. So when you see that beautiful icon, what comes to mind? Yay, goals, let's go get them. Goals are coming to town, you know, kind of like the song Santa's coming to, someone's going to talk to me about goals. I hate this word. I hate even if I see that icon sometimes. Or no, it's like Target. So I'm going shopping at Target. Bye. I've got stuff on my Christmas list. I'm out of here. We got some shoppers. Please don't leave. Please hang out. You can go to Target after. Awesome. Okay, so more people can keep filling that out. Yep, goals are coming to town. 'Tis the season. See what's going on here. All right, so there are a ton of goal frameworks and other methods that are used as part of these frameworks. And sometimes you have teams that talk about them as the actual framework. So the words get mingled a little bit. And so I wanna explain that for a moment here first. So think about it like this. You've got Santa. Santa has got it all, right? He's got the whole workshop, he's got the sleigh, he's got the gifts, he's got the reindeer, he's got the suit, he's got everything. So when I say Santa, I'm thinking Santa's kind of like a framework. It's all of the pieces, it's all of the parts, it's all of the stuff put together. And then you also have the elves, and the elves are like critical parts to making things happen. Elves can do a lot and stand alone on their own. They're super, super important pieces of how they can actually put the toys together and they get everything ready. Like Santa kind of falls apart without them. So when I'm thinking about talking about goals, I'm thinking, oh, elves are kind of like the method or the tool, that underlying thing that makes it happen, not necessarily always a giant framework. So depending on where you work or what kind of goals that you have been interacting with, sometimes they are a framework. Sometimes they're just actually a tool. And that's okay. We've got a little bit of both. So let me just give you a quick refresher on a couple here. So first one I want to touch on is OKRs. It's a pretty darn popular one. If you don't have one, you might already need to get this on your Christmas list. It's the Measure What Matters book. Super popular as far as like a lot of companies have been shifting over to these. There's specific tools for OKRs. There's so much to it. But your quick reminder here is OKRs, the O is an objective. So it's what you want to accomplish. And the KRs are your key results of how you want to actually accomplish something. One of the visuals I really love is actually this one when people talk about OKRs, is because you have key results that are laddering up to achieve that objective. So it's a nice way to think about, hey, we want to be at this milestone, we want to accomplish this thing, and here's all the ways we're going to do that. So refresher on OKRs. One of the other pieces that kind of plays into OKRs, or you hear people talk about it, or they can stand alone. So OKRs are a framework. They're like Santa. If we kept going, you have KPIs. So KPIs are key performance indicators. They're a little bit more like an elf to me because, like I said, they can stand alone, and sometimes this is the only thing that people focus on when they're talking about setting their goals, which is fine. It's pretty darn important. And here's why. And I'm going to preference this with, I hate putting a ton of words on screens, but a KPI is a single data point to track and monitor performance of a particular area. This is why I said it's kind of like an elf to me. It's not necessarily Santa. It's not an entire framework. It's a one-piece thing, but it's still strong enough that some teams use this to stand alone when they write their goals. And you know what? That's totally cool. One other thing that you hear a lot with goals is the SMART goals. And I've always loved how people talk about SMART goals because it's always kind of displayed like this. It's really in your face of like, oh, this is the very easy way for me to remember how I'm supposed to write out my goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. And like I said, can stand alone. You can use this. Awesome. Now, some people take it a step further and use SMART goals in a framework. So that's one of the other ones I wanted to give a refresher on, which is rocks. So if you're not familiar with this shows up a lot for EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System. So it's an entire framework, and setting rocks or goals is part of it. A recommendation is to use the way that SMART tells you to write things in this framework. So you have a lot of pieces going on here. This one to me is a Santa, right? It's a full framework. And I've also always really loved the explanation when people talk about rocks is, hey, you're going to go after those big, important things. And then the rest kind of fills in. So that's why you see usually this visual of like the two cups. And if you go after the big things and the smaller things kind of trickle in, you actually can achieve everything within that cup. Now, if you don't do it that way, notice your rocks are just kind of outside of the cup. You might not get them. So that's just a quick refresher on, and we've only lightly touched on 4 of them. And really there's there's really a ton. Think of it like this. Say it's the holiday season, and maybe you are like a big fan of eggnog. I love eggnog. I think it's delicious. But you have that first glass and you really, really love the eggnog and you're like, yes, this is awesome. But by that third glass of eggnog, you're kind of like, that was a mistake. And my point here is that you can actually go a bit too far when it comes to goal frameworks. And this is why we're not covering all the goal frameworks. This is why I want to talk about something that's larger than individual different frameworks that you could possibly use. You can go crazy, you can do your research, and you can try to pick the best one that works for your team, and that's totally fine. Just don't let it overwhelm you is what I'm saying right here. So, to stay away from the feeling we had here of, oh my gosh, this is going crazy, let's talk about how you can actually love the goal season. So right now, wrapping up stuff, heading into a new set of goals as everyone's trying to do this. So I have 4 tips and they're basically different practices for you to try out to put in place with your teams. Maybe you're doing some of these, awesome. Maybe you're not, and maybe this will give you some food for thought. As we talk about this, there's 2 lenses that I want to kind of tackle these by. One is how we can de-risk what's going on possibly in your world and help de-stress you as well. So we'll knock it out and keep going here with our very first one, which is use the framework. Don't let it use you. I just had a giant list of all those different types of frameworks, be it Santa or an elf, of how you're using your goals. So let's talk a little bit more about this one. I like I said, I love December. Part of my favorite thing is decorating the outside of the house. I love Christmas lights. I think it's awesome. We just moved into a new home this year. This is me trying to get on the roof. The roof is too pitched. It was a bad idea. So what we did here was we went, oh, well, okay, that's not going to work. Of course, because like I said, I love lights and I love all of this stuff. I really wanted to create an amazing display, right? I drive by houses like this and I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I want this grand, beautiful picture. Everything's included. It's amazing. This is this is it. This is what I have to have. But let's think about it. I just told you that I couldn't really actually get on the roof. So that means my grand framework isn't like grand plan isn't gonna, it's not gonna work, right? I can't do that. So if I apply to some of that story and thinking to goal frameworks, what is that telling you, right? If I'm trying to put up lights and say a string of lights go out, do I just let the whole thing crumble? Am I done? Do I give up? No, usually I go and find a different string of lights, or maybe I'm out of lights. And so I reconfigure what I've got left, or I might move some other pieces around. So I still am creating something that has a beautiful picture to it, right? So that my house has that holiday cheer and I've got my lights up. If you're thinking about goal frameworks, there's a lot of pieces to them, and they usually come with a lot of what comes off as rules that you need to play by. And I want to be clear here. Maybe it's your first or second time using a certain goal framework. You're just trying it out. I would say, yeah, do it by the book. Follow the things that it tells you to do, because hopefully you'll learn from them. Here's what I'm saying to change about this when it comes to different goal frameworks, Santa or Elf. If it's not working, change it. If the lights go out on a string, get a different string. Or it could just be, like different frameworks will tell you like, hey, you should do meetings at this time and you can meet this frequently and all that other stuff. You can change that. So don't let frameworks ever hold you back from making progress, right? So de-risk it. You don't want to fail. You want to see progress, so you need to be open to change. I said I couldn't get up on the roof, but I still want something really valuable. Don't worry, I still got it. I still got lights. I still have my corgi Christmas Santa blow up things going on. We're good, right? And I de-stressed myself because I still took action so that I could get to an end picture. So any framework that you might be using for goals, just take a moment and think about your team. Think about what's actually working for your team and what's not. And don't feel guilty about having to change it. Experiment with it. See if there's something better for your group to actually do, and take action. If you make that change and it doesn't work out, take action again. If anything, you're learning and you're hopefully getting something better. You're getting a better outcome and a better use of your own goals. All right, so that was our first one. Our second one is lean in and deep breaths. So we all get it. Like I said, it is an extremely busy time of year. It's hard to focus or find the headspace to spend on goals, but you need to do it. Like I mentioned before, people are evaluated by their goals. It's the direction that your company might be taking or your team is taking. So to de-risk yourselves, you really need to lean in. Look at everything you're doing. Just take a moment, like block an hour on your calendar, whatever it might be, but think about what your team is doing, what you're doing individually, maybe what's going on in your market, depending on what business environment you have. Think about the expectations. Just picture your whole ecosystem, because you have to get to your goals. Goals really shouldn't be the last thing that you're thinking about. And if it is, it's likely you or your entire team or your company needs to have an aha moment of, you might need to solve something else. And that is, if you're actually prioritizing your entire world well enough. Like I said, it's crunch time, right? We said, oh, it's December 12th. It's almost the end of the year. People have holidays, like time off, all of this stuff. If you're not prioritizing well, you're probably feeling that pain and it's probably causing you a lot of stress. So here's a quick exercise to actually help with that. Please, it only takes you it could only take you maybe 30 minutes if you've done something like this before. but it's something as simple as this. It's taking all of the stuff that we talked about, like what's going on with your team. Maybe there's features you have to deliver, meetings that you must attend, presentations, whatever it might be. Take that list and put it into a format of now, next, and later. The example I'm showing on the screen is one of the tools I like to use because it's easy with roadmaps, but you can do it with sticky notes. You can do it in an Excel sheet if you wanted to. You can take all of this stuff and plop it into, is this a now thing, a next thing, or a later thing? And do yourself a favor. Don't overthink this. Some people see now, next, and later, and they're like, well, what does now mean? Does now mean a week? Does now mean a month? Just make this easy on yourselves. Don't overthink the timing thing and just think about the urgency that you're feeling or have been told about something, and then put it into those buckets. If you really challenge yourself and look at this list, this is going to give you that moment you probably need to figure out how to de-stress yourself. So create this list, and this is where the deep breath comes in. Just breathe. Because likely you've got a ton of stuff in that now column, and you're like, cool, I've got 2 weeks to accomplish this. Oh boy. So what this activity also helps you with is that you can take this and have a conversation. You can say, hey, I looked at everything that I'm supposed to be doing, or maybe my team is supposed to be doing, and I know that our goals are super important. And maybe some of the pieces I'm doing are so that we can achieve some of the goals for the end of this year. But I also know creating the goals for next year are just as important. So you can have a conversation and show people something. I'm trying to prioritize my world. There's no way I'm actually probably going to get everything done in this now column. What's still important? What's not important? And this is a great time too to ask for help. Aren't these dogs cute? Sienna's a little helper, get it? But yeah, you can ask for help. You can say like, hey, look at this whole thing. Maybe you're a leader in the group. Awesome. If you're the leader, then you can look at this and go, oh, this isn't going to work for my team. Maybe you're the person that can help provide that help so that goals can take a priority spot. Or maybe you're an individual team member and you've completed this exercise and you can talk to your leadership about it, saying, hey, I did this. There's a lot on this now list. And I think you'd be surprised to see that sometimes too, the people you start talking with will say, oh, well, actually, no, that's not a priority anymore. Or, oh, no, you don't have to complete that all. It's totally fine if this gets bumped because it got moved due to this other team or whatever it might be. But creating the visual so that you can have the conversation will allow you to actually lean in and spend more time on goals and help de-stress all the stuff that you're trying to accomplish. All right, next one is show your team how it all connects. Normally around this time of year, there is this vibe, right? It's like some good cheer, again with the corgi and the dogs. See, I'm keeping it in here. Everybody's happy. You've got like maybe like this warmness of like, oh, like look at all these lights. It's all beautiful. You're spending time with friends and family. Like even this cat who like is actually close to losing it because someone picked him up, he's keeping it cool because there's a holiday vibe, right? He's okay with it. You can kind of feel it from other people. Now, if you want to actually feel that kind of vibe when it comes to goals, it's because you need to show your team, your company, whoever it might be, how everything connects. This also doesn't matter which goal framework you're using because it's the connection points outside of it that are also really important. So here's how we can set you up for success here is maybe maybe you've got a team and there's a new goal framework. Maybe it's something you have been using. Maybe there's new people that have joined your team too, and they're like, cool, we do OKRs or we do racks. All right, awesome. Do yourself a favor, and maybe you can just do this for yourself individually, but I'd share it out. Map out how your goals work at your company. Now, it's not just the goal framework, right? Those frameworks are everywhere. You can find those no problem. But map out how that framework interacts with other tools or methods that are used within the entire role of a team. Like a lot of people work in cross-functional teams, they're interacting with a lot of different systems. How do the goals work? Right? That one's kind of hard to just know off the top of your head. So let's get that vibe. Let's know how that works by actually mapping out what it could actually look like if something was completely connected. So I'm going to give us an example. I'm going to use OKRs, and it could look something as simple as this. We're going to build on this one. So say we're using OKRs, right? Objectives, key results. Yay, our team's going to write OKRs. Awesome. Well, hopefully in this top box, you have company goals. And maybe your leadership used the OKR framework. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were just like, we need to get this number by this date. That's a goal. Okay, cool. And your team maybe also has, or if they don't, maybe you should have some type of roadmap. Could be a product roadmap, or you're just calling it a roadmap. That's totally fine either way. But it's some strategic element of you're trying to figure out what you should be doing, what you should be researching, so then you know what you should actually be building as far as if this was a product development team. And then the rest, the team group is working on, oh, okay, we've got company goals. We see your product roadmap. All right, awesome. And I should be writing my OKRs. So sweet. And OKRs give you that level of accountability. They can actually be measured too. Awesome. That's a big world to be working in. So if you have all these pieces, you can have teams that are functioning on a, weekly sprint, could be 2-week sprints, whatever it might be, but they should be meeting, especially within the OKR framework. They usually suggest like, hey, you meet every now and then, talk about your OKRs and share updates, that kind of thing. Awesome. So that's where this little star icon comes into play. Your teams, groups of people are talking about the work, and they should be also talking about the goals and how that work's impacting the goals, which gives us some awesome insight. So if you follow the little snowflake here in this arrow, if I'm getting insight about the goals and how those are progressing, that's going to impact the roadmap, because the roadmap is a strategic piece and we should be able to update that earlier. Oh, isn't that awesome? Look at that. Maybe leadership hasn't come out with company goals yet, but my roadmap's already updated with what we're going to do next because we've already learned. The other cool thing is if your teams are meeting and talking about this, then the teams get the chance, and this is our little fireplace path, but the teams get a chance to tell a story of how the work that they were doing directly impacted what the company goals were. So what leadership said we wanted to achieve, this team said we did this, this, and this, and yep, it's tied up to company goals, and that's how we're achieving it. So this one is just an example, right? There are a lot of other goal frameworks, other pieces that you could use, but hey, you get to see, here's OKRs, but also here's a product roadmap. And also here's some company goals that are floating out there that people say we should hit. This is how you can map them. And this is pretty simple, right? This isn't a crazy mapping, but you can map them and show your teams how it all connects. It matters, and you can give them that vibe of, oh, okay, I get where this fits in. I can see the whole world around this. I can feel good about it. You don't have to be that scared cat in that picture that was being held. You can be someone that's like, yeah, feel it. I feel it. I'm doing this piece of my KR because I know where it connects everywhere else. And I know how important it is that it connects and that I keep it going. All right. Then we're going on to our last one, which ties in very nicely to what we were just talking about, which is use them every day. And you're like, no, Jackie, I will not use them every day. This is difficult. Follow me on this. During the holiday season, it's likely that you might get something that you don't want, right? Like maybe it's like a sweater or something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I just can't rock it. Like polka dots can't handle that. That's not going to work with me, or it's the wrong color for my complexion, whatever it might be, right? It's a gift. It's not going to work out for you. But whoever gave you that gift, you're like, oh man, I'm going to see that person today. I should wear that sweater. I should totally wear that sweater. Yeah. Goals can be like that sometimes with teams as well. So a lot of team members will feel like, oh, you just gave me goals, or you told me I had to use this goal framework or whatever it was. Well, fine. I did it. I am using the goals. Cool. And I pull them out every now and then, or maybe when leadership's around because they said they were important. Okay. I get it. I absolutely get it. This just means that you're not really like fully using them, or you're possibly going off and you're solving other problems that aren't a priority. Remember, we just talked about priority and how important that is. Where your teams are just, it just makes it so it's easier to get distracted because you're just doing whatever's coming in, maybe a giant funnel of work, instead of being focused on your goals. So don't fall into that trap. De-risk yourself. Use your goals every day. Here's how, just a couple examples of how you can do this. So you can show your goals on, maybe it's a backlog or a roadmap. There's a ton of different tools that some teams are already using, and it can be pretty simple to just plop it in there. Use the same wording. Sometimes that distracts people because we've used a different type of way to talk about something. No, use the same wording. I'm going to put, and then in this example, this is showing you how a roadmap was made with objectives. Awesome. I created objectives, and then I can show all of the features, the pieces of work that we're doing, and how they're tied to objectives. I can also show you what pieces of work we're doing that aren't tied to objectives. And that can help you have another conversation of, should we really be doing this? But because I'm using this every day, I'm actually creating that like cohesiveness of, yeah, that goal was important. We're using it, we're talking about it, and we see it every day. Another example too, if you want to get in the habit of using it every day, this roadmap one is really great. A lot of you, if you're working on like a cross-functional team or work with them, they usually have some type of stand-up. I would recommend, and stand-up is supposed to be very, very like, it's supposed to be short, stand up, right? It's meant to be like a short ceremony for a lot of the teams. What I would recommend is that at the very start of stand up, where people are still kind of like, oh, I'm grabbing my corgi mug with my tea in it for the morning. Just have the roadmap up. This view would be beautiful, right? You can see what you're working on right now today. You can have it there. You don't even have to speak to it, but people are getting used to seeing the goals constantly in stand up. So it's right there. You don't have to go crazy on it, but I know a lot of teams, we've done this on other projects that I've worked on, have really appreciated being able to see how it all connects, and we're using it every day.
Hey, Jackie, can I
Yes.
interject 1 second?
Yeah.
There's a question in chat about what is this software?
Oh, sure. So the example software is what I'm guessing. So this is
Mhm.
a tool that at Integral we recommend for creating roadmaps, collecting insights. It also interacts with like backlog development tools. So if you use Jira, and there's a couple other too, but it's called Product Board. So you can find it, and they have a lot of different examples on how to use roadmaps. I liked this one, like I said, because I can put my objectives right there, and then you can show the work that's getting tied to it right away.
Okay, thank you. I thought that's what it was. I just posted a link.
Perfect, thanks. Awesome. Okay, still on this topic though, I have I'm calling this my hot take holiday Tuesday. Um, Putting your goals in a completely separate space or tool from your day-to-day work is not a win. It's the exact opposite. Let that sink in for a sec. We have so many different screens and tools and systems that we're trying to use. And if your goals aren't looking at you every single day, what was the point of putting them in a separate system? You're really not getting the value, and it's so easy for them to get lost. So if you want to get the most out of whatever goal framework you're using, use them every day and put them in a space that everyone can see. Another way you can use them every day, and this is what I would say is my de-stress moment, makes me feel good, is celebrate your wins. I like this one too, because they're all like, yeah, we're singing, we're having a great time, we feel good, right? You celebrated your wins because you were talking about your goals, you see the big picture, and you see how it all connects together. So you can use tools like the one I just showed you, but you can show them off in roadmap views. How about in a retro? A lot of teams have ceremonies where they're having a retro. Wouldn't it be great if you were like, hey, we know that these were like our objectives or the KRs we were focused on or the rocks we were focused on. Did we have some wins there? Yeah, we do. All right, let's talk about it. Brings that all together of we used it every day. We see how it connects. All right. So that our time flies here, friends. Those are all four that I wanted to share with you. So hopefully they gave you some things to think about. And what I'd really love to know is which one you will try. So we want to get away from this one. What are you going to try when you start working with your teams, or maybe just personally by yourself? Or maybe you want to go after all of them, right? They all kind of connect a bit. But I'd love to know if you jump back into the poll and tell me which one you would love to see happen in your space. We like to use them every day. Yep. Lean in, deep breaths. Yes. Awesome. All right. Well, feel free to keep those coming if you've got more ideas on which ones you want to use. So we had started out talking about that holiday journey, right? And it initially had ended with this feeling, right? I'm not a fan of this. Maybe some of you think this is great. I don't know. I'm not into it. But if you're trying out some of those practices that we just talked about, hopefully I've gotten you to this kind of feeling, right? 'Tis the season for goals. That also means you can have some calm moments, right? If you're trying out something new, and you're really prioritizing, you're putting that whole vibe on it, you're showing everyone how it all works together, and you actually look at them every single day. You might get this like nice calming fireplace moment. Um, but before I completely say we're all done, I have gifts. I told you I had gifts. Um, First one is, if you liked this topic and you want more on it, check out the Grow Your OKR Heart. It is holiday themed as well. Like I said, December is kind of like my favorite. Or if you're like, hey, Jackie, that was really cool. You gave me the example of how OKRs work in an entire ecosystem, but I need more, or I need help. You can come workshop with me. It's something that you can come and do and hang out. You can hang out with me. You can hang out with more people that I work with at Integral as well. And they're all pretty kind of awesome. So feel free to check those out if you're interested. If anything, feel free as well to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can just search by my name. I'd be shocked if you found another Jacqueline P. Shot Conley. Tell me if you do. Otherwise, happy holidays, and thank you everybody for coming out and joining me today.